Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer, and today we're here for some more very exciting stuff. We've got some news about the Ethiopia pack update that is coming out later this month on July 23rd. So we're going to go through the developer update video that was put out today. I will link it in the video description below, and just kind of give some, general thoughts and impressions. This is going to be a very informal video, and, nothing's going to be super scientific or anything like that. So take it for what you will, but let's go ahead and see what there is to see today. I'm going to go ahead and skip through some of the little stuff that's in the beginning of the video here, because obviously they're just kind of introducing what's going on here. So you can see here, obviously for July, we're getting 1 Civ, 1 Leader, Secret Society's game mode, new district, and infrastructure, and that's the stuff we're going to be taking a look at. One thing that's not listed on here is that, oh my god, I'm getting Creative Cloud updates, like notifications and all that crap, but one thing that's not listed on here, though, is that we are also going to be getting the new leader personas for both Teddy and Catherine, but they are talked about in this video, and they are actually the first things that we take a look at here. So
leader personas for Teddy Roosevelt.
You can see we have Teddy and Catherine, so we have Rough Rider Teddy and Magnificence Catherine. So these are just going to be, I don't know if they're going to be like counted as alternate leaders in the game, or if it's just going to be a little thing that you select whenever you select Teddy or Catherine, but that is TBD. Let's go ahead and take a look at Teddy's new bonuses. So one thing that I thought was interesting, let's see if we can get them to say it here.
Given his big stick philosophy.
He's got a big stick, of course.
He's also a staunch conservationist.
Rough Rider Teddy shows him in all of his hard-charging New Frontier glory, and it's only this version of Teddy that unlocks the unique Rough Rider unit.
Okay, that's what I was looking for right there, was that they said it's only this version of Teddy that unlocks the unique Rough Rider unit. So the base game Teddy is going to be called Bull Moose Teddy now, and it seems like he is no longer going to receive the Rough Rider, so only Rough Rider Teddy is going to get Rough Riders, which I guess is kind of fitting, but something to keep in mind is that it is kind of a bit of a nerf to that version of Teddy, and it kind of, what they're doing here is it seems like they're kind of separating out like Culture Victory Teddy and Domination Victory Teddy. So you can see here, the only real difference here, besides the Rough Rider, is that Roosevelt Corollary on Rough Rider Teddy is going to make it so that your envoy sent to city-states you have a trade route with count as 2 envoys, and then obviously you gain that Rough Rider. So you lose the extra appeal on your national parks, which really does hurt for Culture Victory. So I think if you're going to go for Rough Rider Teddy, you can probably play him Domination Victory, obviously because the Rough Riders are really some fairly decent unique units. You're still going to get the +5 combat strength on your home continent. So I think if you're going to go for Domination Victory, definitely play Rough Rider Teddy. If you're planning on going Culture Victory, I would definitely say play Bull Moose Teddy. The other thing, though, is that this Envoy bonus means that this Teddy is going to be a little bit better for Domination, because it's going to make it, remember, whenever you're the suzerain of a city-state, you are going to get +1 diplomatic favor per turn. So if you want to play Diplomatic Victory Teddy, I think Rough Rider Teddy is also the way to go. But definitely will be interesting, and I kind of like his new little leader model here. I think it looks kind of nice, but man, it does suck losing the Rough Riders on Bull Moose Teddy.
His ability, the Roosevelt Corollary, still gives units additional combat strength on their home continent, but now also counts envoys sent to city-states that you have a trade route with as 2 envoys. Bull Moose Teddy uses Teddy's existing art and focuses on his passion for nature and high-appeal tiles.
Meanwhile, our alternate Queen of Brands persona focuses on collecting as many copies of luxury resources as possible.
Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at Magnificence Catherine now. So as they had mentioned, she focuses on collecting as many luxury resources as possible. If I can get one that's not highlighted. There we go. So you can see her new first ability it's totally different from her existing base game first ability that gives her the extra spy capacity and the diplomatic visibility boost. This one now will make it so that the luxury resources that are adjacent to our theater squares or chateau receive +2 culture, and she also gets a new district project that we'll talk about in a little bit. So I think that this is pretty decent, I would say. It is nice to be able to get a little bit more culture, because I felt like her old first ability really didn't play in with her Culture Victory style, but this one I think plays in a lot better.
And allows her to initiate the Court Festival project in any city with a theater square, which awards culture and tourism based on the number of excess copies of the luxury resources that France possesses.
Now, the big themes of DLC 2 are faith, diplomacy, and intrigue.
The centerpiece of the pack is, of course, our new civilization, Ethiopia.
Okay, so here, the next thing that we have to look at is some of the stuff about Ethiopia, which is obviously the new civ that's being added. They didn't really reveal that much about Ethiopia, but we will find out a little bit about them here, so I guess this is one of their cities. One thing that I did find kind of strange was that, wait, did they show their border colors here?
And intrigue.
The centerpiece of the pack.
Oh, there we go, right there. These look almost identical to Saladin's, which I thought was a little bit interesting, but I mean, I guess we have the jersey system now, so it's really not too big of a deal.
Pack is of course our new civilization, Ethiopia. Its unique ability grants extra faith from international trade routes.
So if we take a look here, we're getting extra faith from international trade routes. It doesn't seem to be that much. It looks just like 2.5 if you're going to a foreign civilization. So that's not insane, but I mean, I guess if you have a lot of trade routes, that does add up. And early on in the game, getting an extra 2.5 faith per turn is pretty decent. Obviously, you have to be close enough to someone to be able to send them a trade route, but either way, that sounds okay. It really doesn't sound insanely good, but we don't have all of the details about Ethiopia just yet. They said that the first look will be released later this month, so probably either later this week or next week.
And gives you new things to do with that faith to help you claim a culture victory.
We'll be dropping Ethiopia's first look later this month, so stay tuned for all the details on that. So
my mouse just died there whenever I tried to pause. I don't really know why, but so the other thing I wanted to just show here was that they said that you can do extra things with this faith to help you win your culture victory. And here they're showing that it looks like you can, I mean, they have the availability to buy districts, but they also do have moksha in the city, so it just could be, you know, that's one of moksha's leader bonus, or not leader bonuses, governor promotions. So it could just be coming from him. Same thing with buying theater square buildings. Like, that is just a religious belief, so maybe that's what they have here, is that it's just that religious belief, or it could be part of Ethiopia's bonus. It's really hard to tell, and it's made kind of confusing at the fact that they have moksha in this city, and that there's a lot of things that you could get stuff like this in pretty much any game, so it's hard to really tell what's part of their leader ability or not, but either way, we know that they're going to be able to use faith to help them win culture victories. So definitely they're going to be a faith and culture focused type of civ.
You claim a culture victory.
we'll be dropping Ethiopia's first look later this month, so stay tuned for all.
Yeah, see, there we go. Later this month, so I don't know. Probably, I'm going to take a guess and say maybe next Tuesday, maybe next Monday or Tuesday, they'll release the first look for Ethiopia, and then I'm sure on I think next Thursday is whenever this releases, so they'll probably do like one of their streams then, like they did for the last content drop.
All the details on that civilization and their leader.
This pack introduces a new district.
So one thing I do want to talk about is that they didn't reveal their leader explicitly here, but we will get some more information about them a little bit later on.
The Diplomatic Quarter.
So we have the new district here, the Diplomatic Quarter, which is another unique type of district. So this one you can only have one in your entire empire. And let's hear from them first about some of what this does.
It's your hub for foreign policy and international relations.
Mechanically, the Diplomatic Quarter grants additional culture for each.
So they actually misspoke there. They said it gives you additional culture for each delegation or embassy there, I believe.
Delegation?
Yeah, they said culture, but that's not actually true. You can see whenever they hover over that it's one diplomatic favor for each delegation or embassy. So if you were confused about that, that's why. It's just that whoever was speaking here misspoke that. So you get one diplomatic favor for each delegation or embassy. So this actually will be kind of important early on when you're sending a lot of delegations out to people. You can get quite a bit more diplomatic favor early on if you're able to get down. I don't know what this unlocks with, but assuming that it's relatively early, then you will be able to get some diplomatic favor fairly on. But I wouldn't imagine that this is unlocked like in the ancient era. In the ancient era, it's probably more so like the medieval or Renaissance. I would assume. We can also see that you get one envoy if you built this next to the city center, and it also reduces the level at which enemy spies operate in your empire. And as I had mentioned, only one can exist in your empire at a time.
Or embassy from a foreign civ. It also reduces the level of enemy spies targeting that district and adjacent districts. It's so powerful, you can only have one in your civilization at a time.
The Consulate provides additional influence points every.
So here we have the Consulate, which is one of the buildings that's going to be able to be put into the Diplomatic Quarter, and you can see it gives 2 influence points per turn. So the influence points are what you use to send envoys to city-states, so I think it's like I don't think it's set at every 100, but I know early on it's every 100, then you get one envoy. So this will speed up the rate at which you gain envoys and things of that sort. You can see that this one also does reduce enemy spy level by 1 in this city, or also in cities with encampments. This one does appear to have yields, but there's a reason for that, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit, because I think it's quite an interesting change that actually hurts quite a bit.
Turn and reduces the level of enemy spies when they target that city or cities with encampments.
Meanwhile, the Chancery will grant additional science each time your civilization captures or kills an enemy spy.
So the Chancery here, as they just mentioned, is like the tier 3 building. I guess it's really only tier 2, because I think there are only 2 tiers of buildings in this district, but it will give you 3 influence points per turn, so that'll be 5 total whenever you have the completed diplomatic quarter. Also, whenever you capture or kill an enemy spy, you get 50 science, which is fairly decent, and you can see here that this one does have 3 faith, but once again, that's for things that we'll talk about in probably just a few seconds.
To prevent envoys from becoming too powerful, envoy bonuses are now directly tied to these 2 buildings as well.
Finally,
So that's what I was talking about there. You can see that they said to prevent envoys from becoming too powerful, envoy bonuses are now directly tied to these 2 buildings. So it sounds like what's happening is that no longer are you going to get science on, like your libraries and universities whenever you have envoy bonuses. Instead, it's going to go to these buildings, which is actually that's a huge change. That's going to decrease the amount of extra yields that you can get from city-states by a ton. And the other thing is that, it's going to force you to pretty much build this district if you want to get any bonuses from having envoys in city-states. So this is probably going to be an absolutely necessary district. I know a lot of times in my games, I kind of neglect the government plaza, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be a good idea if your envoy bonuses are tied to these buildings. So I would assume what's going to happen is now at 3 envoys, you're going to get the yields on the Consulate building, and then at 6, you're going to get them on the Chancery, but that's quite a big change, and it's really going to be impactful. It's going to be interesting to see just how much of an impact that does have, but that seems insanely huge of an impact, at least at first glance.
Gathering Storm, Arise, and Fall, the Ethiopia pack also introduces secret societies.
Consider your options carefully because there's no take-backs and there's no do-overs. There's no do-overs. Once your membership is confirmed, you're a member for life. For the rest of the game. You'll be fine.
Secret societies offer benefits to those they invite to join their ranks, and with your initiation comes a special governor with 4 unique promotions.
These governors operate in worldwide networks and thus have no need to be assigned to a specific city. Promotion effects offered by secret society governors apply to your whole civ.
But who are these societies that you're signing up for?
The Owls of Minerva are
All right, let's go ahead and talk about some of the secret societies there. I wanted to let them explain, at face level what most of these secret societies are. So what this is the new game mode, like Apocalypse game mode, so you don't have to play with it, or you can choose to select it, or you can choose to select both it and Apocalypse game mode if you really want. But it's going to revolve around getting these secret societies that are effectively like governors, but they act on a empire-wide scale, so you don't have to put them in any cities, but you can recruit them by doing various things that will kind of reveal the society for you, and as they mentioned, you can only join 1 per game. So let's take a look at what these secret societies actually are, and maybe whenever you would want to use them in some of these games.
plots behind the scenes and use espionage to achieve their goals.
So as they were mentioning there, sorry, I kind of chopped that one up a little bit, but the first one that they're talking about is the Owls of Minerva. So you can see these guys are kind of economically focused, so you unlock them by sending an envoy to a city-state, and, or at least I believe that's what that meant, or I believe that's what that appears like, is that this up here is how you reveal the society, for the first time, but if you choose to join them, you'll get 1 economic policy slot, and each trade route sent to a city-state awards 1 envoy there. So that actually sounds pretty good, not gonna lie. The extra policy card is especially, quite good. In the medieval era, you'll be able to construct a gilded vault, which they'll talk about in just a few seconds here. In the industrial era, you'll gain 1 wildcard policy slot, 2 spy capacity, and all of your cities are going to gain 4 loyalty per turn and 1 amenity when you have a spy in them. Unfortunately, they don't have the 4th bonus revealed yet, so that's something that, we obviously don't really have any information about.
Oh god. Oh god! Joining their ranks gives access to the Gilded Vault. This new building has all the benefits of the bank, but also provides your commercial hub's gold adjacency bonus as culture.
So you can hear there that the Gilded Vault will make it so that your commercial hubs will give culture in addition to their gold, and the culture will just be equal to the adjacency bonus of the commercial hub itself.
And grants an additional trade route for cities with a harbor.
And you can also hear, though, that so normally whenever you have both a commercial hub and a harbor district in the same city, you won't be able to get, like, it'll only give you one extra trade route from having a market and a lighthouse. But if you have the Gilded Vault, it sounds like you're going to get both trade routes from that. And this is actually quite powerful because stacking harbors and commercial hubs gives a lot of gold because they get a pretty sizable adjacency bonus from each other. So this is going to be a nice strategy, and I think it's kind of a cool one to utilize. You can really play like a very economically focused type of game if you are going to go for the Owls of Minerva.
The Hermetic Order values alchemy and occult science above all else. Their success comes from theories and inventions that...
So here we have the Hermetic Order, and you can see them that we unlock them by discovering a natural wonder, and whenever you accept to join them, you will first reveal the ley line resource on the map, and they just give a standard adjacency, so +1 to all specialty districts. In the medieval era, we're going to get the Alchemical Society building, which we'll talk about in a little bit once again. In the industrial era, you'll get that every... Oh man, I can't speak English again. You'll get that for every great person earned, the ley lines receive +1 yield equal to that great person's district type, and great admirals and great generals count as 1 science. So we'll get to see that. So pretty much that means is that if you recruit, say, if you have recruited 2 great scientists throughout the game, then every ley line tile is going to have an additional 2 science yield on it. If you recruit 2 great writers, you'll get 2 culture, etc., etc. This actually does sound really strong, especially just imagine playing Culture Victory. You get a lot of great writers and artists and musicians, so assuming that all of those give 1 culture, then you can get like some like insane like 10 or 15 culture tiles if you're going for the Hermetic Order whenever you're playing that type of game, but it doesn't really line up with that type of game in its other bonuses.
Other societies dismiss as mere fairy tales, such as ley lines, a new map resource only they can see.
Yeah, so you can see here that these are the ley lines. They're map resources that only you can see whenever you are joining the Hermetic Society, and it just gives standard adjacency to all these districts. And you can see here that they have presumably unlocked a few great scientists because this is a 7 science tile. I mean, it should have, 2 science on it because it's next to this natural wonder, but obviously they've recruited probably 5 great scientists at this point, maybe a great prophet, and I think that that's the standard gold adjacency that you would get from this wonder, but either way, this is a pretty decent yield tile, and it's also giving extra adjacency to all these districts, which is pretty nice.
Which gives standard adjacency bonuses to all specialty districts, and can even grant bonus yields whenever a great person is earned. Members of the society can build the Alchemical Society, a university replacement building that has all of the base university effects, but it also provides...
So you can see here, this is the Alchemical Society. Let me let him finish talking about it real fast.
Extra great merchant points, great engineer points, increased production, and gold, perhaps.
So the thing that I think is interesting here is that they said it's equal to like the base. So one thing that, as I was mentioning about envoys before, it sounded like, they were taking away the envoy bonuses to the actual like libraries and universities and stuff, but here we have a +7 science library and a 14 science university. That seems really, really high, so maybe they just haven't implemented that yet in this build of the game or something, but I can't think of any ways that you can get 14 science on a university without having city-states, or 7 science on a library. Maybe there is a way to do that. I guess there probably is, maybe with policy cards, but if you have any ideas for how that's happening, let me know in the comments section below. But either way, the Alchemical Society, you also get some great merchant and engineer points from it, and you also get a little bit of production. +2 is really not that much, but it also says that the campus district will now grant gold equal to the science adjacency bonus, and it looks like it might be giving production as well, but that also could be from the Golden Age bonus that makes it do that. It's really hard to tell in this case, just because there are a lot of factors that can change things like that, but at least in the tooltip, it says that it will just provide gold equal to the science adjacency bonus, which, that's okay. It's really not that insane, though.
From some lead lying around somewhere.
The Void Singers follow a dark religion of ancient...
So we have the Void Singers next, which these guys we unlock by discovering a tribal village, and it also allows us to construct the old God Obelisk building, which is a monument replacement, so we'll talk about that, of course, whenever they do in a few seconds. We also have Ritual in the medieval era, which makes it so that our cities earn gold, science, and culture equal to 20% of their faith per turn rate, which that sounds really, really good. If you're building up like a strong faith per turn civ, then this could be really insane, and I'm just thinking right now of like going a work ethic strategy or something like that, along with like desert folklore, and just getting some huge adjacency on some of your holy sites, getting a lot of faith returned, and then taking ritual as well, or this ritual as well. That's going to be a really, really strong strategy, and I think that that'd be something that's really cool to do. But I really like that they're adding more ways to play with faith that make it a little bit less of a slog. For their indoctrination, in the industrial area, you unlock the cultist unit, and it's purchased with faith and uses charges to reduce loyalty in foreign cities, and also sometimes they generate relics of the void, which I think are just, plain relics, but they're just a special type. This one, we actually can see their fourth one in the Atomic era, so we know that it unlocks Dark Summoning, a city project that provides lots of faith while active, and then whenever you finish it, it raises the amount of loyalty damage done by cultists, so this potentially could be good. I don't really know how much it's going to raise the amount of loyalty damage or how much faith per turn it generates, but either way, that could be really fun for just loyalty flipping people's cities in the late game, or in the late stages of the game.
Gods and sow chaos to control adversaries. Joining them unlocks the old God Obelisk, which replaces the monument, has all of the monument's base effects, and provides additional faith and
So the old God Obelisk you can see here is, I think this is actually really strong. This is probably one of the stronger ones in the game, or as far as the Secret Society buildings are concerned, just because of how early you get it. 4 faith per turn in the Ancient Era is really good, especially since all you have to do is go through a goodie hut to unlock this Secret Society. So 4 faith per turn that early on in the game is quite strong, and that'll add up if you build these in a lot of cities. And then, as we already know, that that faith will turn into other yields whenever you are later on in the game if you've chosen this Secret Society. So Old God Obelisk, I think, is actually quite strong. It also does have 1 great work slot, so my guess is that this is probably intended to hold the works from the cultists, but it does say it holds any type, so that would include like works of music and stuff like that. That is generally hard to find slots for until very late in the game, but either way, the Old God Obelisk seems really, really strong.
Great work slots. The Void Singers also have a unique unit, the Cultist. Purchased with faith, cultists can spend a charge to recruit followers in enemy cities, reducing the target city's loyalty by calling its citizens to madness.
So you can see there that these guys reduce the loyalty by 10, which is really not that much. I mean, I guess if you buy like 6 of these and you surround a city with them, then maybe you would be able to flip a city like fairly early on in the game, but it seems like without the upgrades to them, it is going to be a little bit difficult to flip city loyalty. One other thing that I thought was kind of cool here was that it looks like that you get the relic just whenever these guys expire. I mean, I guess it could just be a random chance thing, but you can see this guy's on his last charge, and whenever he uses his last charge is whenever you get the relic, so not sure if that's an every time thing or if it is still just random.
Loyalty by calling its citizens to madness.
The Sanguine Pact is a militaristic regime known for sapping enemies of their will to fight, shunning the sunlight, and absorbing nutrients through the blood of their... And these are vampires. Yeah, they're definitely vampires. Joining the...
So lastly, we have the Sanguine Pact, and I actually don't believe that they show the bonus tree from these guys, but pretty much you're going to get some vampires, so this is definitely like the domination one if you're going to go for a domination victory, because you get these cool vampires, and let's hear about some of their bonuses.
The Pact unlocks the unique Vampire unit, which gains combat strength when adjacent units perish. Instead of dying...
So it gains combat strength when adjacent units perish. I'm not sure how much it's going to be, but just imagine like if you get one of these guys really early on in the game and you take him through a war and all of a sudden he has way more combat strength than everybody else and can just kill everybody. That would be ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if his own kills count as well, but if they do, then I feel like this is going to be really strong, and it does sound like a really cool and unique kind of thing.
Vampires retreat to safety with 1 HP and can be healed.
Oh yeah, so if you missed what they said there, so instead of dying, they retreat to safety with 1 HP, and then you can heal them by, I think they said pillaging.
With some good pillaging.
Yeah, with pillaging. So that's appears to be the only way to heal them, which that still sounds really good. The thing is, like, I don't know if these guys can never die, or maybe if they get killed while they're on 1 HP, then they're done for good, but I mean, if these guys are literally invincible, I feel like that's borderline kind of cheese, but, you know, maybe we'll have to wait a little bit more to see what the actual deal is.
Vampire castles can be placed in any empty tile in your territory or in neutral.
So you can see we also get vampire castles here, which can be placed in your territory or neutral, and they pretty much just act like a fort. They give +4 defense strength to an occupying unit, so that's exactly the same as what a fort is. And you can see we do have 3 build charges on these guys as well.
Territory or in neutral territory, grant defensive bonuses and extra yields.
So these things eventually will provide extra yields as well. I don't know how much or when, but that is something to consider, is that you will get some free yields out of this as well, so it's a little bit better than a standard fort.
And in later eras, allow you to teleport units between them.
And later on in the game, you can teleport units. I don't know if it's just your vampires or anybody, like any units, but if it's any units, I feel like that's going to be really strong, but we'll see what happens with that.
So there you have it. The faith of Ethiopia, the diplomacy of an
So that's all that they really have to say here. Just to kind of prove it, I believe that they showed the release date part somewhere. Yeah, July 23rd, 2020 is when this is going to release. So that's next week, and not too much more time until that. So I'm very excited for that. One other thing that I wanted to mention was that I believe we got to see who the new Ethiopia leader was somewhere around here. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Oh, actually, yeah, here it is right down here. You really can't see it because of this stupid YouTube bar here, if I have this paused, but the leader for Ethiopia is Menelik II. Let me go back and just play this. That way the HUD bar will disappear down there. Yeah, so you can see it right down there in the bottom left that it's Menelik II. So, I don't really know much about Ethiopian history, but that's who the leader is. I know that I mentioned that before, but I had forgotten to actually call attention to it whenever we actually saw it. So that's kind of a look at the Ethiopia pack. I didn't cover literally everything in this video because I'm sure there's probably a bunch of small details in some of the background B-roll footage that they have here that I missed, but if you happen to notice anything, feel free to put it in the comment section below and we can talk about it or anything like that. But overall, this seems like a pretty good pack. I think that the Secret Society's game mode is going to be really fun. It does look, I know a lot of people have been talking about power creep in Civ, which is pretty much just like things getting gradually stronger and stronger, and it does seem like that might be happening here, but either way, I think it's going to be fun, and if we don't like it, you know, you can always choose not to play with the Secret Society's game mode, so it is an option if, you know, it's something that we end up not enjoying, but either way, I think it is at least fun, and it's kind of zany and stuff like that, so very excited to be playing this next week. So thank you everyone for watching. I have been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoy the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for some more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.